Hello and welcome back to the channel. Hope everybody is okay. And right, it's a lovely glorious day today. I've actually booked some holidays off. I want to do some stuff. Not entirely going to be working on the cars all week, but yeah, a couple of days I've got planned, and let's give you an update on the fleet. So the glorious Vespa GTS 300 is now back on the road, and as you can see there, she's still as shiny as ever. Look at that. Yep, she's back on the road. The other week I just decided, right, that's it, I'm sick of it. Sat in the shed all the time doing absolutely nothing, so went and insured it, sent her for an MOT, and she passed with flying colours, as she always does. And yeah, I'm been out and about getting a few more miles on her, and it's good to be back on two wheels, I must say. And the saggy black Ambassador, right, what am I doing with it? Okay, there have been a few offers to actually come and people want to actually buy it now and take it away. I have decided I'm not going to sell it. This was going to be a long-term project. I'm in no rush to get it done. However, I will be pumping up the suspension and the tyres later on, and making it look a little bit more presentable. It's hidden anyway, it doesn't matter, you know, there's only my neighbour across the road that can see it, and she doesn't really pay much attention anyway. But no, this is going to be a long-term project. I'm in no rush to get rid of this car, and I will be keeping it. At the moment, I'm using it as a bit of a storage shed, and it's fine, it's fine. It's going absolutely nowhere. Right, Mrs. Wynne, right, she needs a good clean up. I need to actually get her off the axle stands and bricks underneath there, get her levelled back up and find the leak on the suspension on this side. I've got a feeling the pipe has gone, which will, if you go way back in some of Ricky's videos, he had the same problem. Not really too concerned about it at the moment. Again, Mrs. Wynne has been a long-term restoration. I gave up on cars a long while ago, and everything just stopped, including the restoration on Mrs. Wynne. But with the way things are gone in life, you know, things take a tumble, things take a turn. You end up coming back to all the things that you kind of miss, and I do miss my Mrs. Wynne. So yeah, as you can see, she is all brown on this side now. You know, there has been little bits of work done as and when I felt like it, but now I've really got my mojo back and I need to get cracking. So yeah, Mrs. Wynne will be on the road this year. I've made my mind up. I would have liked to have her done for the summer, but not sure how things are going to go. But there will be a lot more videos on Mrs. Wynne and the progress that we make with her. Right, on to the Jag. As you can see, I've sourced another door the same colour. It's not perfect, it's got a couple of scratches on it, but it's gonna hide away this horrible dent and scratches. I don't know if you're picking them up on the camera here, but yeah, I could have spent a lot more money on getting that properly knocked out, repainted, but there's a few things wrong with this. I mean, there's the trim that's actually hanging off, whereas this has got the trim, it's all good. So it was just easier to find another door and get it swapped over. That's something I might actually do this week while I'm off. The problem that I had with it was that this door had got the black trim instead of the chrome trim. Now obviously I didn't want to destroy this chrome trim on this door, so I opted to destroy this one and find out how it was put on, and basically it's just riveted. So not too much of a deal, not too much of an issue. That's something I can do one day when I'm ready. And finally, the mighty white. Right, I will get Ricky to insert a picture. I was spotted out and about at the Easter break weekend up in Matlock, and I think it was a Derbyshire car spotter took a picture of it as I went past, and I was amazed by the amount of likes that this car has had on his profile pictures and whatnot. Yeah, it always amazes me, this car does. It really does. So I am going to be doing a little bit of work on her. I have let things slip, but I don't want to take her off the road just yet. She is going to be a little bit of a rolling restoration over the next coming weeks. So let's get into what I'm going to do today. So there's a couple of little issues I want to address. These little scratchy bits, rusty bits that are starting to come through. Some paint fade along here I want to address, which is just going to be done with a rattle can. I'm not spending too much time, not spending too much money at this time. I want to keep this car as original as possible. I mean, it's 43 years old this year. It's still looking absolutely brilliant, don't get me wrong, but there's still a few things that I want to address. So there's them little bits there, and there's these little rusty bits here. Some of that is actually from the grinder and will polish out, but I just like things like that need to be done. I have literally just took this trim off. I wanted to see how bad it was behind there, and look at that. Although them plastic things are a water trap, I'm quite surprised that it's actually still really good there. Bottom of the doors, a little bit of surface rust coming through. It's understandable for a car of this age that's not been properly restored in its lifetime. So I think many moons ago, before I bought the car, it may have had a blowover. Looking at the difference in some of the paint that's on it, maybe, I don't know. There's some crazing going on here. Not sure if I can do anything with it, but things like that I do want to address. So bottom of the doors, just a little bit of tidying up, and a little bit above this trim here I've got some rust coming through, and I want to get that treated as well. Again, some paint fade along here, so I just want to get this addressed. And also, while I'm at it, I want to get this old stone chip off, both sides of course, and give it a coat of some new stone chip, just like I did with the Jag when I'd done the Sill repairs. That is actually a dent that was filled up with some filler. It was picked up on one of the MOTs, and when I actually removed it, it was just basically a dent that had been filled over. So obviously I'm not going to do anything with the dent itself, but a new coat of stone chip, and obviously painted black, will sort that out and make it look a bit pretty. These black trims on here, I do have a set of the chrome ones from one of my princesses. Not sure whether to put the chrome ones on actually. What do you guys think? Or should I leave them black and just repaint them? I don't know what I'm going to do there, but yeah. So yeah, that's it for today. I think I'll just concentrate on this side for today and just get it tidied up a little bit better, just make it look a little bit more presentable. So the black trim, basically these are just pop riveted on just below the lip. There's probably about 7 or 8 rivets along there, so once those are drilled out I can then remove the trim. So that's the rivets drilled out and the trim removed. It's not looking too bad. Obviously where the rivets, some of the rivets are, they've not been protected, water's got beneath them a little bit and started to go a little bit crusty. Not too bad. Bottom of the driver's side wing. Yes, it looks a bit grim, doesn't it? But basically that is just lots of water gotten behind the underseal. Wait for the train. So we'll get that off. Hopefully we've got some good metal there. If there's some holes, well, it's time to get the welder out. No, feels quite solid. I think that's just a lot of crud that's gotten behind the trim and got caught there. So I'll put some rust eater on that and hopefully stop it going any further and give all this a bit of a clean up. You get the drain holes poked through with some rust treatment in, so that's not looking too bad. Pretty impressed with that. So it'll just be a case of out with the grinder, hot air gun I suppose, get some of this old underseal off and prep it, get it sorted. So I've made a start in just scraping up this old stone chip and underseal. Look at that. I'm absolutely flabbergasted by the condition of those sills. Wow. Okay, I don't think I've got much work to do. The hardest part of this job really is just going to be getting the rest of this stuff off. So I'm basically just using a blowtorch just to warm it up, and basically just an old scraper here just to assist getting it off. But look at that. Bit difficult one-handed. Could do with sharpening that up a little bit just to help me get through that. But wow, yeah, I'm impressed. So there's just that there. It's not gone through, so I think I'll put some rust treatment on that. I'll linish it back, get some rust treatment on it. Probably just slap a little bit of filler over there once it's all cleaned up. I don't need to bother getting the welder out, I don't think, not today. Yeah, wow. That's rather good. So I think I'll just continue, get the rest of this underseal off, and yeah, get the underseal off, and then we can have a look, see how bad things are. No, it all feels rather solid, so I think it's just going to be one of them days where I can just do a little bit of tarting up, cleaning up, and we're good to go again. So I'm about halfway through getting the old underseal, or protective stuff, what was ever on it. I mean, it's probably the same stuff as what I'm going to put back on it. Obviously a lot older style, but it certainly has done its job really, really well. It really has. I'm impressed by that. Good solid sills for a change. Unlike this thing, as you will probably have seen in an older video from a couple of months back. Yeah, it begs the question, have car makers actually gone in reverse in terms of you know, rust prevention? I mean, there is going back to the photo that was taken just the weekend. You know, mostly, you know, I would say 95% of the comments are all positive about the car, but you will always get the odd one or two that turn up and say, what a rot box, blah de blah de blah. My mate Dave had one at the pub and it was rubbish and fell to bits. Yeah. We've heard them all before, you know. Anybody that's a fan of Leyland products, we kind of just cock a deaf ear to it now, really, not really taking any notice. But sometimes you do have to react and say, hang on a minute, you know, this car is 40 years old. It's going to have a little bit of rust. It's never been restored. I mean, it lives outside all year round. I mean, I'm not particularly careful with it in that respect. I mean, yeah, I keep it clean, but you've only got to look and see how many trees I'm surrounded by, and it does get covered in tree sap on a regular basis. So I have to try and keep it clean, otherwise it goes in a horrible grey, greeny, mossy coloured heap. So, you know, all I use is traffic film remover and probably a coat of wash and wax every now and then. So it really has stood up to the test of time. And when I pulled the door cards off, I think it was last year, may have been the year before, I was amazed to see how much wax oil was actually inside the doors. Did Leyland put that on, or did a previous owner from many moons ago do that? That I don't know, but what I can't see that there's ever been any, you know, welding repairs or new sills put on in any life of its time. I do not know. If it has, it's been really well done, but it doesn't show any evidence to me anyway that it's ever had a pair of sills put on it. So if these are genuine Leyland sills from when it was built, I'm really impressed. So, you know, the comments that I'm seeing, you know, they're all rock boxes, blah blah blah. You know, mine especially is going to argue that point all day long, and you know, and tell these people otherwise. But yeah, so I'm about halfway, well, just mostly over halfway getting the stuff off. So let's do a little bit more. Let's get the rest of this off, and then I can actually start, you know, linishing all this kind of stuff back. You know, the crappy bits. Get some T-cut on there, get all the grease off it, and get it painted back up. I think we'll be done today on this side. I think it's looking rather well. So I've cleaned everything up, given the sills just a quick going over with the good old mouse thing, just to get all the rest of the under seal off. And as you can see with the black, I've given it a coat of Q rust, whatever it's called. Yeah, no need for me to get the welder out. It's looking pretty good under there. So just giving the bottoms of the doors a little bit of a linishing off as well, just to get the flaky paint off. Obviously I'll let this settle a little bit longer, but what I will do is, while I'm waiting for that, is I'll give the inside of these doors a little bit of a clean up while I'm waiting. Yeah, I'm still amazed by the condition of it actually. It's I don't know if you can pick it up on there. There's no real rust on there other than light bit of surface rust, and obviously that's basically just old wax oil and dirt and stuff. So I'm going to give all this a bit of a clean up while I'm here. Same as the back door as well. Might as well get it nice looking clean. I mean, this is just dirt that I don't really wash off. Obviously there's where the door hinges have been lubricated, and you know, it's just gathered up dirty dust there really. So yeah, it's looking rather well. So what I'll do is just brush on some traffic film remover. Obviously it will take any wax off that's on there, it'll take it all off. So what I will do is, once I've obviously painted the car up later on, I'll give all this another dousing of spray wax and stuff like that, and just keep it all nice and clean. So yeah, looking rather good, I'd say. So all that is just neat traffic film remover, and all I'm doing there is just brushing it on. Not much I can do in the way of explaining this. I think it's self-explanatory. But let's just pause that, get a cloth, and let's see how that's cleaned up. That reminds me, I've got the paint. I might as well rip the door cards off later in the week and finish off painting these things black, I suppose. It does dry very quick though, this stuff does. Obviously it will need a coat of wax afterwards, because this stuff does, it's a real good stuff for getting off old stuff and what have you. But look at that, beautifully clean. So I think I'll carry on there and go under there, and I'll be back in a little while. So as you can see, I've given the inside of the doors a little bit of a clean up. I've removed the stainless steel trim, kick plate there, basically because I am going to spray underneath there anyway, and I don't want any getting on the trim. Got some of that cure rust just going on there, just to treat what little bit of surface rust there is there. There's hardly any at all, so I'm really pleased with how it's looking. So once this has dried off, I'll give it a quick rub over, just to remove all the excess really. I suppose I could wash it. I'll have to read the instructions really, shouldn't I? So in the meantime, while that's drying off, I've got some P600 wet and dry, slightly warm water with a dash of washing up liquid in it. And the reason why I do that, it just helps the sandpaper just glide over it a little better. And so basically just leave that in there, give it a good soaking for now. And what I'll do is I'm just going to give these little areas here, I'm not sure if you can pick it up, these little areas of, this has been on the car since I had it, and it's just not something I've tended to, and I thought, well, I think it's time, it deserves it. Got it done. A little bit up here as well that I want to address. It's just little things, but all these little things do mount up eventually, and you do find yourself a car with a load of holes if you don't tend to them pretty soon. So yeah, so everything's all cleaned up rather well in there. So I'll give this all a little bit of a dousing with some paint while I'm at it, just to tidy it up really. So yeah, this is all drying off pretty well. Obviously I need to clean up the bottom of that wing, but that's also had some treatment on it. I'm happy just to linish that back and just give it a skim of filler rather than cut all that out. I don't think it needs it, but what I will do is I'll get the arch liner out at a later date and give it all a good coating with some chain lube. I find it works as well as anything, even old engine oil, which I usually have plenty of, just to give it all a good coating and keep it at bay really. So yeah, I'm just going to give these little areas a little bit of a rub down that I want to paint. And then before I do paint, what I will be doing is T-cutting wear off all the areas that I've been rubbing down. Simply, that just brings the old paint back up to a decent shine, so when the new paint goes on it, it blends in a little bit better. Because if you don't T-cut it, hopefully you can pick this up. If you don't T-cut it, you get this little shadow going on. This was done a few years ago now, but yeah, I didn't quite T-cut it back, and you get that little bit of a shadow. So if you T-cut it before you spray it, 9 times out of 10 you don't actually see where you've blended in. So yeah, looking good. So as you can see, I have got a line masked up, which is basically to the first small crease at the bottom of the doors. And basically what I do is I want to take the stone chip up to there. Obviously because that is an area that does get a little bit of rust here and there, so I think it's stone chips, etc. So I think while I'm at it, I may as well just go up to that line, only lightly with the stone chip, but I think it will just help, you know, later, help the car later on in life. I think I could be doing it wrong, I don't know, but yeah, it is what it is. You know, if it's wrong, it's wrong. If it's right, it's right. We all do it differently. So what I've done, I've basically rubbed this down, and as you can see, there is it the paint is actually so thin on this car, I actually went to the primer pretty quick. So yeah, I've just given it a light dusting there with some white primer, and the same as down in these areas here that was showing through. Just a light dusting, so it got, you know, it's got some the paint has got something to stick to basically. Obviously I don't need to do anything with here at the moment. There will basically be done along this ridge here, this crease here. I'll just mask up that line, cut it all back, just, you know, just nib it down with a bit of sandpaper, and then, you know, a bit of wet and dry, just to give it something to key onto, and it'll just be a quick dusting over with a rattle can. You know, again, I'm not going too far with it, you know, it's not a full restoration by any means. It's just a case of tidying the car up, because I still want to use it, but I also want it to look a bit better than it does. You know, it is starting to show her age, but as it's, you know, mostly original as it can be, I want to try and keep it that way. Touch-ups here and there are going to have to be done, you know, and if you don't tend to them, it ended up just being rotten anyway. So it's just a case of keeping things at bay and still keeping it looking pretty tidy, I think. So right, I'm going to get the compressor out and the airline, and we'll get some stone chip on these sills, and then we can get ready for painting. Sorry guys, I got a little bit ahead of myself. As you can see, I've masked it all up, and we've got the blobby stuff on, the whatchamacallit, the stone chip on. Like I say, I didn't want to go too thick up here, but that whole bottom of the underside of that rubbing strip is going to get a nice coat of new paint anyway. Hopefully we'll blend it in nicely there up into the wing. Basically once that's cured off, then I don't know whether to go satin black or gloss black, I don't know. I might try both and see how I like it. I'll probably go satin black if I'm honest, but well, you never know. You know what I'm like for changing my mind. So anyway, now that that's drying off pretty nicely, it's still nice and warm although it's clouding over, but that gives my eyes a break, because looking at white all day you tend to go a little bit snow blind after a bit. So yeah, let's crack on. Let's get, basically now what I want to do is get this masking tape off, which basically I can just cut it. Saves me messing around putting more tape on, and then I can mask up. Well, I don't need to mask up the bottom, because obviously that's going to be white anyway, and under the sill trim is going to be black anyway, so I don't really need to mask too much off now. I can basically just go straight over with the white and hopefully make her look a little bit more prettier again. So we've got a couple of dustings, a couple of light coats of the white, probably done about 6 or 7 coats there, very very light to start with, to build it up, and then went a little bit heavier and thicker. There are a couple of runs, there's a tiny little run there. I'm not going to worry about it, simply because the last thing you want to do when you get a run while it's wet is panic and try and stop it going. Just let the run go and sort it out once it's dry, maybe next week, where you can literally I've got one here. No, I have. Oh yes, I have. Basically the trick is once that's dry, once that little run is dry, is to basically shave it with a Stanley blade, a razor blade, anything like that. You hold it virtually at 90 degrees and just shave over the top, and then you can polish it back afterwards once it's completely dry. So leave that alone. I'm not going to panic, not even going to worry about it. But as you can see there, inside of the doors there are nice and white. Obviously my trim's going to go back over that, cover that up. Right, where have I done? There we go. We can also see now that that is all nicely painted up. Again, just a couple of light dustings, just to build the paint up nice and slowly, no rush. and then maybe next week, couple of days time, when it's nice and dry, fully hardened off, I can go back then, T-cut or put some rubbing compound, polish it up, all nice and good. So I've come with the white paint, I've come just below where the sill trim rivets to. So basically along that line of rivet holes, I'll put a line of masking tape later on, and we'll paint the underside of that nice and black. Yeah, I could leave it white, but nah, I'd rather have it black. It was how it come from the factory. Unlike the Princess, where they were, I think they were coded to the colour of the car, I think, especially on the early ones. Not too sure about the Series 2. I'll have to read up on that. Anyway, where was I? Oh, look, a bit of masking tape there. I'll have to get that off. Yeah, another trick as well, people, is not to leave your masking tape on too long, especially when the sun gets hold of it, because the glue will literally bake itself on, and yeah, that's when you have trouble getting it off, and it rips your paint off as well also. So I tend not to leave it on too long. So there we are, we're looking good. Now over to, while this is drying, I'm not going to worry about it too much now, but while it's drying and it's not raining yet, right, over to my little mess over here. Must tidy up. Right, this sill trim, I am going to leave it black, but what I'm going to do is peel this rubber back, give it a wipe over, give it a quick sanding down, and redo it black. But I think I will do this gloss black. So yeah. Oh, nearly fixed over then. So yeah, this will just peel back. It's not exactly bonded on there as such, so let me just do that. Paint this up, and then paint the sills. Then we can get this trim put back on. Nice. So with the miracle of time, I've gone ahead and masked up the bottom line there and applied the black. That's all gone very, very well indeed. Rather chuffed with myself. And also I have prepared the sill trim. Let me just plop that back. Sill, that just sticks on that little bit of rubber doodah. As you can see there, that's all nice satin black again. So once this black is dry, which won't take long, I can go ahead and put that sill trim back on, and yeah, we're good to go. So there we have it for now. That's the wheel arch spat back on, the trim back on, all very, very nicely blacked and stone chipped underneath, and stone chipped to the bottom of the doors, and repainted. Obviously this repair, that looks okay there. That can be buffed off later on, cut in. Little tiny bit of overspray there, but that'll T-cut out. Right, there we go. She's looking rather nice again. That side at least, anyway. Yeah, that'll do for me. So that's a little bit more work done on the mighty white. Looking rather nice again. Obviously got a lot of work to do, polishing her back up and things like that, but that's as much as I wanted to get done today, just before it rains as well. So yeah, done quite well. So that's it for me for this episode. All that's left for me to do is to clean up. So see you all again in the next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Take care of yourselves and each other. Cheerio.